Hey everyone, welcome to Encore, and today we're going to talk about colorants.
Hey everyone, it's Corin, and you're watching EnKoreMakeup. Blend, blend, blend.
Hi, Corin, stop using my lipstick.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So recently I've been getting a lot of inquiries about colorants because there's been some commotion going on online regarding colorants, and that, you know, just like some pigments are like dissolving in water and, you know, whatever it was. But anyway, I'm doing this video mainly as an educational video, guys. I am not citing anyone. I am not pointing fingers at anyone. And this is merely an education video about cosmetic colorants, okay? And it's also going to help me in the future for my beauty kitchen episodes, because we're going to be dealing with colorants. Everything we're going to make in the future as far as makeup and whatnot is going to have a colorant of some form, one way or another. So this is what this is videos for. So the first thing I'm going to point out, not anyone, just a subject matter, are the pigments. That's mainly the main kind of like issue. And I have a lot of pigments, and I have pigments from different companies. Now pigments, especially the ones from leading brands, are basically colorants that are mixed with a base, okay? And that base is comprised of a bunch of different kinds of mineral powders, from mica to titanium dioxide to boron nitride. Depending on the characteristics of the products, it can also contain magnesium stearate, magnesium myristate, all kinds of different ingredients, kaolin clay, silica. All those are going to be added onto the colorants. So that's what I'm going to demonstrate first. Now I have two of probably the most popular pigments that are available right now. MAC, which I have in a small jar right here because I like carrying them in small amounts instead of those big jars. Alright, and this is a blue. I'm basically demonstrating a lot of blues today because most of the colorants I have a lot of blues. So I'm also going to show you a few reds so later on when we talk about certain things that only comes in red. Okay, so this one's from MAC, and of course this one's from Naked. They're the same blue color. And again, MAC pigments have fillers in it, or a base, okay? And mineral makeup by nature is water resistant. Okay, so that's why it's not going to dissolve in water. So for this demonstration, I'm actually going to use my little jar in here that has water, and I'm going to actually demonstrate this throughout this whole video on the different various types of colorants that I'm going to show you today. So I'm just going to use my spatula, and again my blue MAC pigment, and this is in Rebel Rock blue. Okay, so I have my Rebel Rock blue right here, and then I'm just going to add that onto the water. Alright, mix it. And as you can see, alright, the pigments are floating, alright, and it's not mixing in the water. It's right on the surface. Not sure if you can see that. Alright, so it's not mixing in the water. Alright, even if I stir it, it's not going to colorize the water, and all the powders are staying on the top level or the top surface of the water. And that's because the ingredients in this particular pigment are all mineral based, and again by nature they are water resistant and almost waterproof, so that's why they are not going to mix in the water. Eventually they're going to sink at the bottom, alright, but that's going to take some time because it's going to take some time for those powders to really absorb water and therefore put weight on them, and it'll just sink at the bottom of the tank right here. Alright, but it's not going to discolor the water. Alright, so that was one of the questions that was asked. So the answer to that is that it's not going to mix in the water because of the fillers in it. Alright, if it's a pure mineral ingredient, then therefore it's not going to stain water. Okay, so the next pigment that I'm going to demonstrate is my Naked pigment, and this is a blue color. And once again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to scoop the powders, and I'm going to add that to the water, which I freshly replaced. Alright, I'm going to mix it. Alright, and then once again, Naked pigment is pure mica pigments. Alright, so 100% oxidized mica, and it's not going to stain the water. Alright, and it's all going to float right on the surface. As you can see, it's all in the surface right here, and you can see the blue line right there. Alright, but not at the bottom right here. Alright, so it doesn't stain the water, it just stays on the top of the water because they are water resistant. Mica is a mineral, and therefore it's just going to float on top of the water when you do that. Okay, and sometimes it still looks dry. Look at my spatula. See the powder? It's dry even though I submerged it in water. Alright, see? I'm going to stir, and all that blue is just right on the surface. Okay, it's not mixing it with water. And when I take my spatula out, look, the powder is dry looking. Okay, so that's a good sign of really good quality mica. Alright, when you see that. Okay, it almost makes it waterproof. Okay, so now that I demonstrated and explained why real good quality pigments doesn't mix with water, I'm going to now talk about colorants with you guys. And of course, the first natural and mineral colorant there is of course the oxidized mica, much like what Naked uses. So 100% oxidized mica pigments. Alright, and basically it's a rock that's finely milled, but that powder goes through an oxidation process that changes its color. Now red mica does not exist. That's the only color that you cannot naturally produce, are red mica, like intense red. So if you see an eyeshadow that's 100% mica or 100% natural and it's red, vivid red, definitely question it, because red is, again, one color that does not happen in a natural process when coloring or naturally coloring micas. Okay, I demonstrated that to you guys already. It doesn't mix in water. Alright, it's naturally waterproof, water resistant, so it's just going to stay on top of the water. Okay, so the next colorant that we're going to talk about are ultramarines. Okay, and this one right here is ultramarine blue. Now ultramarine is a natural colorant, okay, and basically it's sodium, aluminum, sulfides, and sulfates that happens naturally and forms a rock, and that rock, for those of you who doesn't know, is lapis lazuli. Alright, and it's been used as a colorant for many years. Ancient China, even Egypt, you know, anything that has a bright blue color on like wall paintings or cave paintings, it's probably, you know, from lapis lazuli, which is now also known as ultramarines. Okay, and this is also most commonly termed to as oxide blue, but it doesn't exist. Alright, so it's ultramarine blue. So once again, I'm going to scoop a little bit of the ultramarine blue, fresh water right here. Alright, and I'm going to mix it. See what happens? It turns the water blue. Okay, so that's a natural colorant that dissolves in water. and it changed the water ultramarine blue. Alright, so don't be alarmed if the water stain when you are mixing your pigments, because the colorant can be ultramarine. It doesn't have to be mica. Alright, so that's what's going to happen if they use oxides or ultramarines, okay, when making pigments, eyeshadows, or any makeup products. In addition to ultramarines, natural colorants that are commonly used are iron oxides and manganese. So every time you see like a manganese violet or chromium oxide green or brown oxide, red oxide, all that falls in under the same colorant. Okay, the only difference is that manganese is natural, but it's artificially colored using a natural process. Okay, so it doesn't naturally exist. Okay, the rock itself exists, but it has to go through a process to color it, and still uses naturally, but it's man-made force, if that makes any sense. But one way or another, those fall under the same category, and it will have the same characteristics. So ultramarines, manganese, and iron oxides are all great colorants and most commonly used in makeup production. Now for the warning, many companies out there are going to retail iron oxides, ultramarines, and manganese in pure form and probably call it some other name. Alright, be careful, because these are not intended for as-is use. Okay, it needs to be mixed with a base product. Alright, it should only be used as a colorant straight up. Alright, so make sure to do that. I know like company like Obsessive Compulsive Cosmetics sells these pure, but that's mainly to be mixed with their mixing medium so that you can airbrush it. Okay, so those are not to be used pure straight into your skin. Those has to be mixed with some form of a mixing medium or a base powder. Alright, so just keep that in mind. So this one is manganese violet. Alright, so that's a sample of manganese, and they all look alike as far as texture, consistency. Ultramarines, manganese, and iron oxides pretty much look similar. Alright, and this is what an iron oxide looks like. So they pretty much all the same, you know, kind of characteristics. Okay, so this is red iron oxide, that's manganese violet. And of course, the one I showed you guys is the ultramarine blue. Okay, the next colorant we're going to talk about is called carmine. And it's bright red, of course. Okay, and in Europe, I believe you guys call this carmine. Alright, here in the US, we call it carmine. Now, carmine is made from beetles. Okay, some carmines are actually the juice of beetles. I know, kind of gross, right? But it's actually, you know, kind of like basically, yeah, beetle juice. Alright, but in mineral makeup, sometimes it's the beetle's wings that are crushed and finely milled, and therefore it goes in through this process and it naturally turns red. Okay, they add alum, I believe, to it, and it automatically turns into bright red. Okay, so as far as carmine's concerned, what do you guys think? Is it going to stain the water, or is it going to stay afloat? Alright, so let's see. I'm just going to scoop a little bit of this. Now, pure carmine is really, really strong. Okay, it's a strong colorant. So I'm just going to use very little. Once again, change the water on my tank. Going to add it, swirl it, and now it just very lightly tainted the water, so it doesn't turn the water red. Okay, so that's carmine. Now, one thing that I need to warn you guys about carmine is that it's derived from a beetle. So if you guys are allergic to bugs like bees and beetles and stuff like that, you might have an allergic reaction to this red dye. Alright, sometimes it'll make your eyes water, and you're going to blame either the product itself or the brand without thinking that you might be allergic to carmine, okay, which is derived from a bug. Alright, so if you're allergic to that, either you'll probably react to it with rashes or bumps, or even like your eyes watering. Okay, so just be warned. Definitely check the ingredient list of your product and make sure that it doesn't have carmine if you're allergic to it.